When we talk about French style, we often talk about it as if it's eternal, as if these clothing items have always existed exactly as they are, just waiting for us to discover them. But most of what we think of today as classic French staples actually come from the mid-20th century. They show up at a very specific moment after World War II when ideas about daily life, women's roles, and the concept of freedom was changing. So today I want to look at some clothing items that are considered a staple in every modern French woman's wardrobe, and I want to think about them in the context of when they rose to popularity, because what is considered a staple now was actually quite modern then, and even at times quite radical. Donc, parlons de l'histoire mode des grands classiques du vestiaire français. La ballerine est une classique du vestiaire français. Today, the ballet flat feels like a very obvious choice. It is comfortable, it is stylish, it is practical, and it is very French. But before the 1950s, flat shoes were not really considered very elegant. Heels were the default, especially for women who wanted to look put together. What changed was the way women were moving through the world. After the war, there was more emphasis on independence, youth, and everyday life rather than formal occasions. And in terms of fashion history, people like Audrey Hepburn and Brigitte Bardot really paved the way for the ballet flat to become a staple in French women's wardrobes. The shoe brand Repetto actually created a ballet flat specifically for Brigitte Bardot to wear, and she famously wore ballet flats in And God Created Woman. In this film, Bridget's character is sexually liberated, she is young, she is free, she is independent, and she is casual. So in this instance, the ballet flat was not just a random shoe choice, it was a symbolic choice in the film. Now, of course, the ballet flat is everywhere, but back then it represented a new kind of femininity, one that didn't rely on height or restriction to feel confident. Les espadrilles font partie de l'imaginaire français. Espadrilles are now completely tied to the idea of summer in France, but originally they weren't fashionable at all. They were working shoes. They were worn by farmers and labourers in the Pyrenees, and they were simple and cheap to make. But in the mid-20th century, as leisure culture expanded, the same shoes were worn elsewhere, to the beach, to cafes, and eventually even in Paris. Even designers like Yves Saint Laurent included them in their new fashion lines. Now they feel chic, then they felt practical. What has stayed the same is the sense of looking chic without trying too hard. Le panier en paille est devenu un classique français. Today, the straw market bag feels styled on purpose, like you have planned your whole outfit around it. But originally, it was just a market bag to carry vegetables and bread and other groceries. In the 1960s, women started to bring these bags to the market with them, to cafes, to the beach, not to make a fashion statement, but because they were practical. And when Jane Birkin carried a market bag, it didn't look curated, it looked lived in. Now, of course, the straw market bag signals effortlessness, but then it signaled practicality. Its charm comes from the very fact that it is not trying to be fashionable at all. La chemise blanche est un essentiel du style français. The oversized white shirt now feels like a styling shortcut. You put it on and it just works. But its place in women's fashion history actually comes from menswear, and in the 1960s, that meant something. French actresses like Jeanne Moreau, Anna Karina, and Françoise Hardy were often photographed wearing the white shirt in a very casual, unstyled way. Like they had just thrown it on, no bra, slightly open, even slightly wrinkled. It just had this effortless, sexy, chic vibe, but the whole point was that it was not a put-together look. And even more essentially, it was a men's shirt, not a woman's shirt. At the same time, cinema was also building a concept of the white shirt. It was turning it into something quite symbolic. We often saw women sporting a white shirt the day after making love with their partner, or often in the 60s, their lover, not someone that they were married to, not someone that they were necessarily even seeing long term. And of course, with censorship, they couldn't show the lovemaking scene, so we often see the woman half undressed wearing the man's shirt, implying that she took her clothing off and she put his on because it was lying nearby and it was practical. It covered everything up, but we still got the sense that she was naked underneath. It didn't just signal what had happened behind closed doors, it signaled the aftermath. Smoking cigarettes, having philosophical conversations, reading books alone in your apartment, the woman hanging onto the shirt and continuing to wear it around her apartment while she did things that did not include the man. The looseness of the shirt felt intentional. It suggested authority, intimacy, and independence, all wrapped up in one. Now, of course, the oversized shirt reads as effortless, but in the 1960s, it was quite radical. It represented femininity without decoration, intimacy without display, and confidence without explanation. Le jean est aujourd'hui incontournable en France. The jean is so normal now that it's hard to imagine that it was once controversial. They arrived in France after World War II and were associated with American soldiers and Hollywood. In the 1950s, they were rebellious, even shocking. By the 60s, students, actors, and artists were wearing them as a rejection of formality and class structure. Now, of course, French women wear jeans in a very controlled way. Simple cuts, neutral styling, nothing flashy, but back then they represented freedom and refusal. The rebellion softened over time, but the independence stayed. La marinière est l'un des symboles les plus reconnaissables du style français. Today, the striped shirt, of course, feels completely classic, like it has always existed that way. But it started out as a naval uniform, first introduced to the French Navy in the 19th century. When it first appeared outside of that context, it felt really modern rather than traditional. Most notably, in the 1910s, Coco Chanel started wearing the marinière on her seaside holidays. She wasn't interested in its symbolism, she was interested in its practicality and the fact that it crossed class and gender boundaries. If you know anything about Coco Chanel and the style of the 1930s, androgyny was a big thing. Women started wearing clothing that had a boxier form, they started wearing pants, they moved away from the concept of classic femininity. And wearing a men's naval uniform is kind of the epitome of this. And by the mid-20th century, it had moved even further away from its traditional roots. It was worn by artists, intellectuals, and people who didn't quite fit into conventional roles. Then the stripes felt graphic and a bit defiant. Now they feel really familiar. Now, what all of these pieces have in common is that they didn't start out as fashion statements. They came from work, uniforms, menswear, and everyday life. Now we call them timeless, then they felt new, sometimes even uncomfortable and boundary pushing. One thing stays the same, and that is French style is not about chasing trends. It's about letting clothing settle into your life until it feels natural. And maybe that's why those pieces last. Not because those pieces were always classics, but because they became classics slowly. And this is what I feel is so important about finding your own personal style when it comes to vintage style. Because our icons, the people that we look up to for style inspiration from the mid-20th century, were comfortable a lot of the time. The Brigitte Bardots, the Jane Birkins of the world, even the Audrey Hepburns, they were effortlessly stylish and chic because they wore what they liked. They wore what suited them. They wore what they were comfortable in. And that is so important to feeling at home in your own clothing, like it is a second skin. So maybe you try some of these classics for yourself. Maybe you discover they're not for you. Either way, don't be afraid to try something new, and don't be afraid to wear something that other people don't wear just because you like it and you think it feels comfortable. I'm going to leave it there. J'espère que vous avez bien aimé le vidéo. Si vous voulez, vous pouvez ajouter un commentaire dans le chat en bas. And don't forget to click the subscription button, guys. Did you know that more than 70% of you who watch my channel are not actually subscribed, even though you're regular viewers? So if you did click the subscribe button, that would actually mean a lot to me and really help out my channel. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!